Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and tonight we're going to talk about Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 9, Parting Ways. So before I begin, like I mentioned every week, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, give it a thought, hit that subscribe button, join the family. If you already subscribed, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button. Leave your comments because, hey, you know I read every single comment. If you don't know, now you know. And if you're interested, we also have a membership. That's in the description box below. So let's get started. On tonight's episode, the couples are planning a housewarming party so that all the family and friends, well, not all, the family and friends can see what they've been up to since the honeymoons and the weddings and things like that. So we pick back up with Dominique and Mckinley. They're finishing their conversation that they had with Pastor Cal, because last week all the couples talked to him so that he can get an assessment on how they're doing in their relationships. Well, Dominique tells Pastor Cal that she's over it. Cal says, what's it? It could mean anything. So Dominique says she's over everything. She's over this marriage. And Cal says, are you sure that's what you want? And so he asked Mckinley, how do you feel about it? Mckinley says it's tough to hear, but he's also been going back and forth with the emotions with Dom and them, not really being on the same page. Dominique asked for a divorce. She said, this is that divorce. So then Cal goes on to say that, marriages go through strife, they go through hills, they go different peaks and valleys, and they just don't quit, marriages that last a long time, with the very first thing that goes wrong. And then Pastor Cal goes on to say, you know what, 25 just might be too young. He advises Dominique to take her time for any future relationship. Don't just jump into it. Make sure this is what you want and on the right path, because marriage, again, is a union, and you just don't want to go from this marriage to a relationship. Like, have all your ducks in rows, what he was trying to say. Mckinley is disappointed. He says he's hurt, he's embarrassed, he feels like he's been let down, but they're gonna go their separate ways. Now, after Pastor Cal leaves, Dominique actually apologizes to Mckinley, but Mckinley doesn't stick around for the apology. He gets up and he walks away because he's just overly come with his emotions, and that's it. So then it's the next day. We have quick scenes with the other couples. They're out and about, they're living life. Pastor Cal says marriages may be easy for some or an uphill battle for others. But in less than 6 weeks from now, they're gonna have to decide whether they're gonna stay married or get a divorce. So now we have Clint. He's out and about. He's playing Frisbee or whatever with one of his buddies, giving him the update on the honeymoon. He made a comment about the type of women that he used to date in the past that were more slender and athletic, and Gina got upset about that. Clint says that there is a physical barrier to their attraction. He says that over time, he's hoping they'll come together and, get past the things they were having those issues with. Then Clint is telling his friend that Gina has a dog, and the dog has the coat of hair, the same color that he has on his head, so maybe he doesn't see why she has a problem with his red hair or his ginger features. And I'm thinking, no, I think that could be the entire problem. Maybe you remind her of the dog, and that's not necessarily what she likes. But overall, Clint's friend says, things take time, physical attraction may grow. So, he feels like his friend is on the right path if he keeps going ahead with the communication. And then we have Eris. Eris is meeting with his cousin, Phelan. He's telling her about the trip, not the honeymoon, the trip. He said it was cool and that Jasmine and him are trying to navigate their feelings, but they're not quite there. And Phelan says, in other words, so you're not attracted to her. And Eris says, no, not right now. I have a bit of a wallop. She's more attracted to me than I am with her. And he's not sure what is stopping that chemistry from building. And then Phelan says, well, physical attraction can take time, but that's not everything in a relationship. Now, the things that Phelan was saying to Eris, even though she's coming across as a little bit of a hater and a little bit more of like, are you really a cousin? Are you kissing cousin? Like, who are you really? her points were valid when she was talking to Eris this time around about how attraction takes time to grow and communication issues. And she also went on to tell him that if you aren't set and confident in your relationship, not only am I not coming to the housewarming, because he did ask her to come, she said, why should I come and support a relationship if you're not fully in it? And I have to agree. You know, I also think that the way that she's going real hard for Eris shows that there may be some things going on in the background that we truly may not know about her cousin, who is 39 and have never been in love before. And then she also tells Eris this: if you are vested with your wife, then go home and do what couples do. So next up we have Nicole. She's having lunch with her friend Julianne, and Nicole is saying Chris is everything that everyone said he was, meaning he's a nice guy, and sometimes maybe he could be too nice. Nicole goes on to say that she's in an environment where she wouldn't give up on Chris, but she could also see herself, you know, continuing on with Chris as well, you know, possibly saying yes on decision day, because last week, that's what she said to Pastor Cal. Every day she asked, so what are you gonna say on decision days? Nicole is saying, although she likes the compliments, she's not sure what would happen if they really came around to real world problems in a nutshell. And so her friend says, well, if you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, it probably will, but don't harp on it. Because see, Nicole comes across as an overthinker and an overtalker. So I can see her talking her way out of things or talking her way into things. And Nicole says that she wants Chris to be all the things she wants him to be. But her friend says, but don't give up who you are as a person just to protect him. And I thought that was very profound what the friend said in that moment. So now we see Gina. She's finally come over to Clint's. Is it still Clint's or is it her and Clint's place, since she decided she wasn't going to move in? But today we see her moving some stuff in to the second bedroom. Clint is again saying it's a big step that Gina's doing this, and he hopes things will be natural and things will turn out great. Now, I have to say, I just really didn't think that Gina would ever bring her stuff over. I just thought it would be like another season where, if you saw it with a Zach and a Mindy, where Zach would just come over and spend the night and then go home. That was his version of staying at the place. And I kind of thought that's maybe how Gina would be doing it too. But she actually brought her stuff and her dog, so maybe she'll be there for a little while. So next we see Jasmine. She's come home from being out shopping, running errands for the housewarming, and she's talking to Eris about that housewarming and what needs to be picked up, so on and so forth. So Eris says, so I remember seeing you when you was writing out the guest list. You didn't put Phelan's name on it. I thought that was a very odd conversation to have. Like, your wife just came home from running errands and telling you things that need to be picked up and just different things she was doing. And that's part of the conversation that you want to bring up. Like, oh, I see you didn't put my cousin's name down. Knowing good and well that your cousin doesn't want to come to the housewarming anyway. So Jasmine's response was, well, you know, I put other people's name on it, and the production showed when she was actually writing it down, maybe the day before or something. And she said, you know what, I really don't want anyone in my presence that I'm not comfortable with, or that's rude to me, or just in general, like not trying to get to know me. And so, and then Eris says, well, you know, she said she wasn't coming anyways. I'm like, you took her all around for this conversations for nothing. So then Eris is trying to explain Phelan's personality, how she's so strong, and just different little things about her while they were growing up. But you know what? He did say that maybe a year from now or somewhere in the future that they could laugh about this one day and have a cousin's night and be like, remember that time when? I don't know if it'll get there, but hey, you never know. So now today is the day of the housewarming, and we're going to start off with Nicole and Chris. So she wanted to have a tropical theme, but then he was talking about he wanted to have buffalo chicken sandwiches. She was like, no, we have to match the theme and the food together. I agree with that. I'm one of those people too that, you know, whatever the theme is, that's what the food should be. So then Nicole is showing Chris these shirts, and they have flamingos on them. And Chris is like, I don't know. Looks like it's a bit much. She's like, you don't want to wear it? He's like, no. So he doesn't wear it. She doesn't wear hers. And then all the friends come in. I thought that was kind of cute. As Nicole is showing the friends around the apartment. She's showing their friends the picture of the wedding. She said, I like this picture. Let me show you the picture that they had at first. I'm like, Nicole, see, that's when we saw last week of you showing off-time production. Like, why did you show this picture? Why'd you give me this? You know, because it was giving a bunch of like, are you owning a little bit of being a little off-putting here? So, and also too, Nicole, that's exactly what you look like on your wedding day. So now Nicole talks with Chris's brother, Brandon. Then there's a knock on the door. And the knock on the door is Devontae. Apparently Devontae is on CPT time. So Nicole, Brandon, Devontae just started talking about their relationship and how things were going. And then Nicole was saying how she recognizes that how people have told her at the wedding, at the reception and everything, that Chris was such a nice guy. He's used to being a pushover. She's hoping that her personality doesn't lead him to the way where he feels like it's too strong. She's also wondering if Chris is appeasing her by telling her things like, oh, she looks nice today and different little things, because she's not used to hearing those things. And if she does hear them, she's wondering if someone is being genuine. And to me, if you have to wonder if someone's being genuine, that's something from within, from yourself. But Brandon and Devontae say, well, you know, as long as you're willing to compromise about things and come to the same page, things will be all right. And then Nicole was like, well, it just depends on what we need to compromise on. And so when Chris is talking to Nicole's friends, they're asking him, well, what do you find that's annoying with Nicole? Chris said he finds things, and it's not necessarily annoying, how she thinks about things in a different way than he does. Her friends say, well, Nicole likes to make waves because of her personality, and that's what she's used to. And then one of the friends say, well, you don't really look like you're a fighter, like the fighting type. And they also say, you know, they like the way he's treating her, but at the same time, don't be a pushover. So then we move to Shaquille and Kirsten. Kirsten and Shaquille chose to invite family members who were married so they can get some marital advice. So as they all coming in, Shaquille and Kirsten decide to flip the script and be like, hey, so how y'all been doing? Then the talk came about the honeymoon, and you know what? They talk about the horseback riding and different activities that they did. And so one of the couples said, so did you get intimate on the honeymoon? They were like, intimate? Let's take a toast. So, you know, they were deflecting and trying to change the subject, but it didn't really work. And so they admitted that they did not get intimate, and they also admitted that they barely were kissing. And one of the couples was like, what? You're not even kissing? I'm not even getting kissing energy. Like, what's going on here? And Kirsten admitted that she really didn't like to kiss in general. Then they leave to talk with their family individually, and Kirsten talks with Shaq's family, and she says that she's taking her time with everything. Everything is new. She just wants to take it slow. And so Shaq's cousins ask Kirsten if she feels like that they're warming up to each other, and if she could see them being together outside of decision day. And the answer was she didn't know. And so I'm not sure if she really answered, was she warming up? I think it was like a question. And so when Kirsten's family questions Shaquille, he's asking them if they think he's being too patient, and he gives his explanation as to why. And in my opinion, I'm thinking they wouldn't know if you're being too patient or moving too slow, because you're the one in a relationship. They don't really know you and how you work in a relationship. Kirsten's cousin said to Shaquille, that I thought was interesting, that maybe Shaquille needs to assert more dominance and more assertiveness in a relationship, and hoping that maybe that'll help them get on track. And Shaq says that he's hopeful for seeing things past the 8 weeks, and the cousin in confessional says she's hoping that they can last for the 8 weeks and beyond. So then we move back to Eris and Jasmine. So Jasmine's sister and aunt and Eris's cousins come by for the housewarming. So one of Jasmine's dogs are there, and Eris makes a comment about the dog, saying, oh, well, you know, this one's here, but there's more. And then one of Eris's cousins says, so does dog sleep in the bed with you? And Jasmine says, yeah, the dog slept in the bed with me. The cousin said, what? She said, what's the problem? It was a king-size bed. I'm a single lady, so I don't know what the issue is. And just from that alone, I'm thinking, okay, so Eris doesn't care for dogs. The cousin doesn't care for dogs. And I could just imagine what the conversation is off camera on the phone with Eris and his cousins having about those dogs, and the dogs being in her bed. So you can tell just with the whole housewarming that just anything that came up of topic was awkward, because even the conversation came up with Eris bringing up Phelan. So I'm not sure if these cousins that are at this housewarming are Phelan's cousins too, or if they like, on the maternal side or the paternal side. Either way, it's family. And so when Eris brought up the fact that Phelan didn't want to come, and just the disconnect with Jasmine, and Jasmine having to say why she didn't want Phelan there and how she didn't feel comfortable, what was that supposed to prove? I think that proved the point more and more that Eris doesn't want to be there. So then Eris goes with Jasmine's family, and Jasmine goes with Eris' family. And Jasmine's family tells Eris that, listen, we are going to ride or die for Jasmine no matter what. And they're asking him if he's serious about things and if he's really ready to be in this type of relationship, this type of marriage. Eris, for a moment, steps back and looks like he's thinking, but I think he's trying to give the right answer. He says that he is, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced at all. And I don't think that they are either. And then when Jasmine talks with his cousins, she right away goes in about the sexual chemistry not being there. She said it's clear that he's a sexual person, and you would think that we're married, he would take my clothes off, but that's not how it is. And just the communication obstacles. So moving from that, we have Dominique. She's out with her mom having lunch. Her mom is saying, oh, I'm disappointed I didn't get a chance to come to the housewarming party. That's today. She would like the opportunity to come to get to know McKinley more. And Dominique says that McKinley started getting more vocal. She said he started getting more petty. Dominique's mom said, well, did you give this relationship a chance? Do you think it was too soon? Maybe he didn't have a chance to change anything because it's too early in the relationship. And Dominique's just bottom line was like, no, like, I don't want to be there. She quoted Mac and said it was an F this situation, that he didn't want to have to keep redeeming himself for Dominique or anyone, or for the process. Dominique's mom goes on to say that she's hurt for the relationship. She's hurt for her daughter. She said that, she didn't want this relationship to end up this way. She really was hoping for the best. And I was thinking, again, that this is not the type of process that you would sign your child up for, regardless if they're 25, 35, 45, or whatever. For a marriage, I think this is something that they would want to have to do. Your child or whoever would have to know that their heart was in it and they were ready to be married. I mean, this makes you think, was this Dominique's reality or was this her mother's reality? So then we have Clint and Gina. So I guess Clint got to have his tacos and margarita party. Clint and Gina talked to their friends. It wasn't really much for their segment. And they ate, they had their drinks. Gina talked to his friends, Clint talked to her friends, and it just came down to, we're trying to get back on the same page. Clint is hopeful. Gina said she's hopeful for what's to happen next, and that was really pretty much it. So now the couples come together in the common area, and Dominique and McKinley even come to the gathering. McKinley in confessional says he's not excited to see Dom, and it's gonna suck to tell the other couples that they're getting a divorce. So the spokesperson, Gina, starts off the conversation asking about how did everybody have a great time at their housewarmings and so on and so forth. Clint and Gina said they had a great time at the housewarming. I was really surprised that Gina said she had a great time. She said that Clint was the only male there, and she's gonna feel real comfortable bringing her friends from the shop over, being around Clint, so she knows that they all could like hang out together. So I guess it's a win. So then McKinley says, so has anyone had sex yet? And there was just like the look around the room. And then Chris breaks the ice and he finally says, yeah, we did it. We had sex. And why in confessional did Eris say, oh, so he's blowing her back out or something crazy like that? And then Clint was like, oh, well, tell us more about it. The two from the bachelor party who had the most to say. And then it was asked if Eris and Jasmine were getting freaky. And the answer was no. And Jasmine goes into the reasons why, about not the sexual chemistry not there, and it wasn't there for both of them. So again, the awkwardness of the conversation. And then McKinley breaks the news that Dom and him are getting a divorce. And everyone was like, what? Like, you're getting divorced? Clint basically said similar things that Pastor Cal was saying. You don't jump ship with the first thing that goes wrong. You need to take time and have faith that things were gonna work out. So I guess he was trying to say, like, you know, look at mine and Gina's situation and we're sitting next to each other. But again, I think that's still fairly new. And then Nicole says to Dominique, you know what, you're gonna regret this. In time, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm not telling you how to feel, but I really feel that you're gonna regret this. And is there any chance that you all can think about it, possibly rethink the situation, maybe step back for a minute so that the relationship could possibly work out? And Dominique thought about it, and then she said, yeah. And in that moment, I'm thinking, wait a minute, hold on. So Dominique, the things that you told your mother, the things that she was asking you, the things that she was saying are the things that you repeated to the group, that McKinley was being petty and you're being positive. You don't want to live a life with someone who's not positive and going forward. But yet when Nicole asks you these things, you're like, yeah, maybe. Well, that didn't last long. As soon as the gathering was over, we see Dominique and McKinley go back to the shared apartment. And Max says, so where do we go from here? Dominique says, well, it was so much pressure and I didn't know what to say. So Max said, so did you say maybe because everyone's looking at you because of peer pressure? And Dominique said yes. But then Dominique is saying that even though she said yes and felt the peer pressure, she goes, you know, I just always like being honest. That's the type of person I am. And I'm thinking again, in that moment, you definitely weren't being honest. Then Dominique says to Mac, well, at least maybe we could be friends. Max says, I don't want to be your friend. I have enough friends. So Max says, I'm going to go start packing. And Dominique goes, well, I'm going to give you a hug. So they hugged and she got her stuff. She left and Mac started packing and that was it. All right, everyone. So that was the end of the episode. Woo! That was a lot at the very end. And it's unfortunate that that relationship, Dominique and McKinley, didn't go past the honeymoon. And it seems like there's another relationship or two that didn't really get past the honeymoon. But we'll see how it progresses as the weeks continue to move on. So, all right, everyone. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and leave your comments. And until next time, everyone, live simply. Be grateful.